The sound of rain hitting the pavement still echoes in my ears. It was pouring that afternoon, heavy sheets of cold water that soaked through my sweater in minutes. But the real storm wasn't outside, it was the one ripping my heart apart as I stood frozen on the sidewalk, watching my father throw the last of my things onto the front lawn. My favorite blue sweater, the one Mom knitted for me when I was 15, landed in a muddy puddle. My childhood photo albums, the ones with pictures of us three before cancer took her, scattered across the wet grass like discarded memories. Even the little wooden jewelry box Dad gave me on my 18th birthday slid out of a cardboard box and cracked open on the concrete. "Dad, please stop," I whispered, my voice barely louder than the rain. Tears streamed down my face, mixing with the rainwater. "This is my home too." He turned to me with eyes full of fury I had never seen before. His voice boomed across the quiet neighborhood. "I've had enough of your disrespect and your selfishness. Sophia, take your things and get out of my house. You're no longer welcome here." Neighbors' curtains twitched. Mrs. Patel from next door peeked out, her hand over her mouth. I felt so small, so exposed, so completely shattered. This was the same man who used to carry me on his shoulders when I was little, who stayed up all night with me when Mom was in the hospital, promising that as long as we had each other, we would be okay. How did we end up here? Let me take you back so you can understand. I was only 12 when we lost Mom. Breast cancer. It happened so fast. One day she was laughing in the kitchen, making pancakes. And 6 months later, we were standing at her graveside in black coats that felt too big for our bodies. After that, it was just Dad and me in that old 2-story house on Maple Street. He became my whole world. He worked double shifts at the factory, and then as a security guard at night, so we could stay in the house Mom loved so much. Every evening when he came home, no matter how tired he was, he would sit with me at the kitchen table and ask about my day. On weekends he taught me how to fix things around the house, and how to cook Mom's famous lasagna, so we wouldn't forget her taste. "You and me against the world. Kiddo," he used to say while ruffling my hair. I believed him with every piece of my heart. As I grew into my teenage years, his protectiveness started to feel heavier. He didn't like my friends from school, especially the ones who wanted to go to parties or sleepovers. "They're bad influences," he'd say. When I got accepted into a good college 2 hours away, he sat me down and said, "Sophia, who's going to take care of me if you leave?" After everything I sacrificed. So I stayed. I enrolled in the local community college and got a part-time job at a small publishing house downtown. I told myself it was love. That family meant making sacrifices that then, 2.5 years ago. Everything shifted when Lisa entered the picture. Lisa was a co-worker of Dad's, divorced, with 2 teenage boys. At first she seemed nice enough. She brought casseroles over and laughed at Dad's jokes. Slowly she started staying longer, then spending nights, and before I knew it, they were married in a small courthouse ceremony. I smiled and pretended to be happy for them because I wanted Dad to be happy. But deep down, I felt the house changing. Mom's photos started moving to the back shelves. Lisa's boys got the bigger rooms. The smell of Mom's favorite candles disappeared, replaced by Lisa's strong perfume. The comparisons began quietly. "Why can't you be more helpful, like Jake and Tyler?" Lisa's boys don't talk back to their mother. Every time I tried to express how I felt, Dad would shut it down with the same line. "After everything I've done for you since your mother died, this is how you repay me." The tension kept building like a pressure cooker. The breaking point came on a Tuesday evening. I had finally received a real opportunity, a junior editor position at a respected publishing company in the city, 2 hours away. It came with good pay, benefits, and the chance to finally pursue my dream of writing my own novel. My heart was racing with excitement when I told Dad over dinner. His fork stopped halfway to his mouth. The room went silent. "You're leaving?" he asked, his voice dangerously calm. "I'm not leaving you, Dad. I'm just starting my own life. I'm 24 now. I need this." That's when the explosion happened. He stood up so fast, the chair fell backward. After all the years I struggled alone to raise you. After I gave up my own dreams, so you could have a roof over your head? You're just going to abandon me for some fancy job? The argument escalated quickly. Words flew like knives. I told him how suffocated I had felt for years. How his control had slowly crushed my spirit. How I suspected some of Mom's inheritance money had quietly gone toward Lisa's kids' expenses without anyone telling me. His face turned red with rage. "Get out," he screamed. Before I could react, he marched upstairs, burst into my room, and started grabbing everything. Clothes from the closet, books from the shelf, even the stuffed bear Mom gave me when I was 6. He carried armfuls downstairs and hurled them onto the front lawn in the pouring rain. I stood there in shock, rain soaking me to the bone, watching my entire life being thrown away like garbage. That night I left with only 2 suitcases and a broken heart. Sarah, my best friend since high school, let me crash on her couch. I cried until my eyes were swollen. I kept checking my phone, praying for a message from Dad saying he was sorry, that he didn't mean it. But the screen stayed dark, 10 long. Painful days passed in silence. Then, on the morning of the 10th day, my phone started exploding with notifications, 88 messages in less than an hour, and that's when everything changed. Those first days after being thrown out felt like living in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Every morning I woke up on Sarah's couch with a heavy ache in my chest. I would lie there staring at the ceiling, replaying the scene on the lawn over and over, the sound of my jewelry box cracking, the way Dad's voice echoed through the neighborhood, the pitying looks from the neighbors. I felt completely worthless, like I had failed as a daughter. Like maybe I really was ungrateful after everything he had done for me since Mom died. Sarah was my rock. She made me soup, forced me to shower, and sat with me while I cried. "You didn't deserve that, Sophia," she kept saying. But in those early days, I couldn't believe her. The guilt was too loud. On the 5th day, I gathered whatever courage I had left and went back to the house, while Dad and Lisa were at work. I still had my key. I just wanted to quietly take the rest of my important things, my laptop, some more clothes, and a few pieces of Mom's jewelry I had left. When I opened the door, Lisa was standing there with her arms crossed and that familiar, cold smile. "Your father doesn't want you here anymore," she said flatly. "He changed the locks yesterday. You need to leave." My stomach dropped. I looked past her and saw that my old bedroom was already stripped bare. The walls that once held my posters and photos were empty. My childhood bed was gone. Everything had been boxed up and moved to the garage like unwanted clutter. That moment broke something deep inside me. The betrayal felt complete. I spent the next few days in a fog of sadness and anger. I barely ate. I avoided calls from distant relatives. The family group chat that used to be full of birthday wishes and holiday plans went completely silent. It felt like everyone had chosen Dad's side without even hearing mine. But somewhere in the middle of that darkness, a quiet shift began. I started journaling every night, writing down my feelings, my memories, the ways Dad had slowly made me feel small over the years. The more I wrote, the more I realized this wasn't just one bad day. It was years of emotional manipulation dressed up as love. I remembered how he guilt-tripped me out of going to college. How he discouraged every relationship I tried to have, because no boy will ever treat you as well as I do. How he made me feel responsible for his happiness after Mom died. The pain was still there, but it was slowly turning into clarity. During those 10 days, I quietly reached out to 2 people I still trusted. My Aunt Rachel on Mom's side and my cousin Michael. I didn't ask for anything dramatic. I just told them the truth about what happened and asked if they had ever noticed anything off with Dad's behavior since he remarried. Their responses planted the first real seeds. Aunt Rachel wrote back, "I've been worried about you for a long time, sweetheart. Your father changed after your mom passed, and Lisa made it worse. We need to talk properly." Those quiet conversations in the background were about to change everything. By the 9th day, I had my first job interview lined up in the city. I was starting to imagine a future where I wasn't constantly walking on eggshells, a future where my dreams mattered. Then came day 10. My phone buzzed once. Then again. Then it wouldn't stop. 88 messages flooded in within 60 minutes. I sat on Sarah's couch, heart pounding, as I opened the messages one by one. The first few were from Aunt Rachel. Sophia, I'm so sorry for what your father did. I shared your story with a few close family members because I couldn't stay silent anymore. People need to know the truth. What followed was an avalanche of support and revelations I never expected. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in years sent messages of love and outrage. Old family, friends from Mom's side started sharing stories. I had never heard how Dad had been emotionally distant even before Mom got sick. How there were whispers of him seeing Lisa while Mom was still in treatment. How significant portions of Mom's life, insurance and inheritance, had quietly gone toward paying off Lisa's debts and funding her son's expensive hobbies. While I was told there was nothing left when I asked about college funds, one message from Uncle Thomas, Mom's brother, hit especially hard. Your mother would be heartbroken if she knew how he treated you. We should have spoken up sooner. Dad's perfect image as the struggling single father who sacrificed everything was crumbling in real time. The family WhatsApp group exploded with conversations. Some relatives confronted him directly. Lisa apparently learned several uncomfortable truths that same day and packed her bags with her sons within 48 hours. Dad started calling me frantically. Voicemails filled with apologies, excuses, and promises to make it right. But the trust was gone. The damage to his reputation in our close-knit community spread quickly. People who once praised him began keeping their distance. I didn't need to scream, fight, or expose him publicly for revenge. The simple act of me stepping away and the truth quietly spreading through the family did all the work. Sometimes justice arrives not with loud confrontation, but with quiet consequences. 3 weeks later, I moved to the new city. I got the editor job. I started writing my novel again, this time with my own voice, not filtered through guilt or fear. I made new friends who celebrated my ambitions instead of trying to shrink them. Slowly, piece by piece, I rebuilt my life on my own terms. Looking back at that rainy day on the lawn, I now see it differently. Yes, it was one of the most painful and humiliating moments of my life. But it was also the day my father accidentally set me free. He threw out more than my clothes and books that day. He threw out the version of Sophia who lived in constant fear of disappointing him. The version who believed love had to be earned through silence and sacrifice. Today, I'm healing. I'm learning to trust again. I'm building relationships based on mutual respect, not guilt. The biggest lesson I want to share with you is this: real family doesn't humiliate you. Real love doesn't make you feel small so they can feel big. Blood relation does not give anyone the right to control your life, your dreams, or your worth. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't loud or cruel. It's simply choosing yourself, walking away with dignity, and letting the truth do its quiet work. If you're going through betrayal right now, whether from a parent, partner, or someone you trusted, please know you are not alone. Your pain is valid. Your dreams matter. And on the other side of this heartbreak, there is a stronger, freer version of you waiting. Thank you for listening to my story with an open heart. If it resonated with you, share your thoughts gently in the comments. Remember, you deserve peace. You deserve love that lifts you up. And you are worthy of a life that feels like home. Take care of your beautiful heart. Until next time.